Hello, namaskar, namaskara, namaskaram, namaskar. My name is Pooja Dwivedi. Welcome to my class, The Daily Current Affairs, where we learn significant current events from the perspective of the UPSC examination. Before I begin, I would like to involve you in one of my announcements, that is for the P2I long-term batch. We have already launched many batches for UPSC 2024. This batch is for those students who have just started their preparation for the UPSC examination, specifically for the year 2025. So that is why a long-term batch. It is advisable for those of you who do not have any idea about this examination, who know a few things but they do not have any strategy about it. They do not know what to study. They have no idea about CSAT, ethics, essay, language papers. Everything is included in this P2I long-term batch. There is also a study IQ campus program that is in there. Similarly, like we have for the P2I 2024, we have for 2025 as well. You will be called to the study IQ campus for 4 months of rigorous mains preparation if you are able to qualify UPSC Prelims 2025. Alright, so make sure you take admission as soon as possible because this is an evening batch from 6 p.m. onwards, and 16th of September is the date from which we are launching. Make sure you use the code PDLive so that you can get this batch at a discount. Generally, it is 70,000 for Hindi, English. But if you use the code PDLive for this, you will get it at 35,999 only. Alright, so now let's begin. Do not worry about making notes because I provide the PDF through my Telegram channel, that is by the name of Pooja Dwivedi UPSC. If you have any queries regarding this examination, you can also talk to me on my Instagram. These are the various events that we have to cover today. First of all, let's talk about citizenship. I asked a question to you. This is a practice question. So let us see that with respect to the eligibility for Indian citizenship by registration, consider the following statements. A person of Indian origin who are ordinarily resident in India for 7 years before making an application for registration. Make sure we are talking about those people who have entered India legally with documents. A person who is married to a citizen of India and is ordinarily resident in India for 7 years before making an application for registration. And lastly, a person of full age and capacity who has been registered as an overseas citizen of India for how many years? For 5 years. And who has been residing in India for 1 year before making an application for registration. We are talking about those people who are of full age, that means 18 years and above, and they have entered India legally, okay, with proper visa and everything. But if supposedly we are talking about refugees, persecuted minorities from Afghanistan, Pakistan, Bangladesh, there could be certain changes. So these three, we are talking about registration because there are certain various categories under which citizenship can be granted in India according to the Constitution of India. So how many statements given above is or are correct? See, citizenship is a relationship that a person has with the government of that country. So we have citizens and aliens. Aliens who do not have any relationship with the government of the country in question, they are treated as aliens. Citizenship can be acquired in India according to the Citizenship of India Act 1955 on certain categories: birth, descent, registration, naturalization. This has been given in the Constitution of India, specifically Part 2, ranging from Article 5 to Article 11. So, all three are given on the basis of registration. On these many grounds, a person can be registered as a citizen of India. Remember, you have to remember the data because data-centric questions could be asked with respect to citizenship, and citizenship has been in the news a lot lately. That is why it is important to remember it. Okay, so all three are correct. All three options C will be the correct answer. Like I introduced you to the P2I long-term batch, similarly we have for the short-term batch, short-term as in for the UPSC 2024. Everything is similar, just the range is a little lower. And of course, from the perspective of UPSC 2024, this holds more importance. And I would suggest that 11th of September was the date from which we launched our batch. Take admission as soon as possible so that we can send you the study material and you do not miss on the classes. And this is a morning batch. Make sure you use the code PDLive to get it at 29,999. So why have I asked you this question? Because the Ahmedabad district authorities have recently granted Indian citizenship to 108 Hindu refugees from Pakistan who were residing in Ahmedabad. Okay. And according to certain gazette notifications of 2016 and 18, it is empowering the district collector of Ahmedabad, Gandhinagar, and Kutch region, which Kutch, as you can see, is sharing a border with Pakistan. If there are refugees, that means those minorities which are persecuted on the basis of their religion and they want to seek refuge in India, they can do so. And it is from Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Bangladesh. Remember that. And of course, from the perspective of your preliminary examination and mains examination, this particular information is important. So DCA is not only good for prelims but also mains. Citizenship is in the union list. That means only the parliament can make laws here. The constitution doesn't at all define the term citizen, because the prelims question could be formulated that the constitution specifically defines who is a citizen. The constitution doesn't define it, but it talks about certain categories, and this is according to part 2 article 5 to 11. As we know that when our constitution came into effect, that was 26th of January 1950, but the provision with respect to citizenship came into force from November 26, 1949, the day on which we adopted our constitution. And this is because of the horrors of partition. That is why this was done. There are 4 ways in which an Indian citizenship can be acquired: birth, descent, registration, and naturalization, according to the Citizenship Act of 1955. And there are various grounds. I have already talked to 2, 3. There could also be minor children of persons who are citizens of India who can acquire through registration, and a person of full age and capacity whose parents are registered as citizens of India under clause A of this subsection or subsection 1 of section 6. Then a person of full age and capacity who has been registered as an overseas citizen of India for 5 years and has ordinarily resided in India for 1 year before application, just before their application. Then a person of full age and capacity who or either of his parents were earlier citizens of independent India and has been residing in India for 1 year immediately before making an application. This is also done through registration. With respect to Nipah virus, consider the following statements. The animal host reservoir for NIV is the flying fox. It first appeared in domestic pigs in Malaysia and Singapore. The case fatality ratio is high for Nipah. How many of the statements given above is or are correct? Why have I asked you this question? Because again, Kerala is being terrified by the outbreak of Nipah virus. This seems like a seasonal outbreak, and it generally occurs in those regions which may have thick colonies of bats, because fruit bats, or flying fox as they are called, they have been regarded as the host of the Nipah virus. That means they carry within themselves this particular virus. So flying fox is the fruit bat we are talking about. It is also known as flying fox. UPSC can confuse you, so make sure that you know the synonyms as well. So the animal host for reservoir for Nipah virus is flying fox. This is a zoonotic disease. What is a zoonotic disease? Any virus that is able to jump species from animals that it has jumped to the human beings, and human beings can get contaminated from different infected materials, and then they can infect other people as well. So this is a really serious zoonotic disease. Many studies have shown that it also holds a potential for becoming a future pandemic. So it's a very serious one. A question is expected to be asked. So it first appeared in domesticated pigs in Malaysia and Singapore. That was in 1998-1999. Since then, certain outbreaks have been reported in countries such as India and Bangladesh. And the case fatality ratio is very high for Nipah. That is the major concern. Although it gets transferred more slowly as we compare it to the SARS-CoV-2, the coronavirus. But the case fatality ratio is very high. That means among the infected people, how many are dying? It is very high. Supposedly for coronavirus, this is a hypothetical situation. If 2 people died of 8, then for Nipah virus, it is either 7 of 8, 6 of 8, or even 8 of 8. In certain cases, all the people who have been infected, they have died. So the case fatality ratio is very high. That is why it is a serious disease. So first is correct, second is correct, third is also correct. All 3 will be the correct answer. Kerala has reported 2 unnatural deaths. The sample has been sent to the National Institute of Virology in order to confirm that is it because of the Nipah virus or not. And the answers are awaited. And this is the Kozhikode region, Kozhikode district of or Kozhikode district of Kerala. All right, let's move forward. And Nipah virus was first discovered in 1998-1999. This was an outbreak of disease in pigs, and out of 300 human cases that were registered, more than 100 died, and there was also economic ramifications because people were dependent on domestication of pigs for their economic livelihood. More than 1 million pigs were killed to help control the outbreak. Since then, we are registering cases in Bangladesh, India, and many other South Asian and Southeast Asian countries. It is a member of the family Paramyxoviridae, and its genus is Nipah virus, and the animal that is reservoir for it is fruit bat, which has the genus Pteropus. It is also known as flying fox. NIV is genetically related to the Hendra virus. So remember that because UPSC can frame a statement. NIV is genetically related to Hendra virus. Remember that, make it sure that you remember it very well. A good statement based question can be formulated. Another Nipah virus which is known to be carried by bats, that is why it was very easy to single out bats being the reservoir of this. As you can see, this map is showing us the outbreak. Any international map narrative we do not support, this is just for depiction. The symptoms of NIV, they range from mild to severe. It could be fever, headache, and fatal encephalitis as well, that is the inflammation of the brain. More serious ones include seizure, coma, disorientation, and deaths occur 40 to 70%. In this percentage, it is very high, and that was registered between 1998 to 2018. There are no treatments or vaccines against the virus, and this is the major cause of concern. Let's move ahead to the next question. Consider the following cases: Menaka Gandhi versus Union of India, State of Uttar Pradesh versus Raj Narayan, Manoj Narulla versus Union of India, Lily Thomas versus Union of India. So, how many of the cases given above are related to the criminalization of politics in India? That means any case that is giving us certain details, certain guidelines through the Supreme Court in various cases, that will be considered as cases that are related to criminalization. Menaka Gandhi versus Union of India is related to Article 21. The interpretation of Article 21, that is why first is not correct. Other than this, State of Uttar Pradesh versus Raj Narayan is a significant case in which the Supreme Court said that the MPs who or candidates who are going to contest for the elections of MPs or state legislative assemblies, councils, any legislature, they have to ensure that in their affidavits they are disclosing all the information about their education, assets, and also criminal antecedents. So second is, yes, it is related. Even Manoj Narulla versus Union of India and Lily Thomas versus Union of India are related to criminalization. We'll go through each and every important case step by step here. Second, third, and fourth are correct. First is not. Three only will be the correct answer. Recently, Association for Democratic Reforms report has been released in which it is suggested that 40% of the sitting MPs have criminal cases against them, in which Kerala has topped the list. When it comes to serious cases, Bihar has topped the list. So this has shown out of 763 members of the parliament, 306, that is 40%, have declared criminal cases against themselves, and the data has been arranged from the affidavits that they have to file before contesting the election. So this is the latest affidavit we have taken from. Around 25% of the MPs have declared serious criminal cases. These are related to murder, rape, attempts to murder, crimes against women. Kerala tops the list in normal criminal cases. Bihar, Maharashtra, and Telangana. Serious criminal cases, Bihar has topped the list, which is followed by Telangana, Kerala, Maharashtra, and Uttar Pradesh. Also remember, UPSC can ask us to differentiate between serious and very serious cases. Serious criminal cases, here a good question can be formulated, and do not get confused between Kerala and Bihar. Kerala is generically criminal cases, it has topped the list in general. In serious we have Bihar topping the list. Okay, Indian Constitution doesn't specify that on what grounds one person cannot contest election, so it doesn't talk about disqualification in this sense. However, the Representations of People's Act of 1951, according to it, under Section 8, disqualification will be given on conviction for certain offences. If punishment has been pronounced, that is conviction. So on the basis of it, for a certain period of time, the person cannot contest elections. However, it doesn't bar individuals that you cannot you cannot contest elections if you have criminal cases pending against them. Okay, pending means the punishment or the if they are going to be punished or not, this hasn't been told by the courts. So the Public Interest Foundation versus Union of India in 2019, here the apex court said that political parties must ensure that whatever criminal antecedents are there for their candidates, it should be disseminated on their website, social media handles, as well as newspapers, so that people can make informed choices. If I know that two people are there who are contesting elections, one has so many criminal cases against them, other doesn't, of course I will want to bring somebody who doesn't have any criminal cases against them. So that is one thing. ECI will also create a framework to ensure that the information is reaching the candidates. Lily Thomas versus Union of India in 2013 says that any member of the parliament, here the Supreme Court said that, or state legislative assembly who is convicted of a crime, that means punishment has been given for up to 2 years or more, at least 2 years, not up to, at least 2 years or more, he or she would be disqualified from holding office. And convicted lawmakers could not contest elections or continue as a member of the legislature while the appeal was pending. This has been said in the Lily Thomas versus Union of India case. In Association for Democratic Reforms versus Union of India 2002, ECI, the Supreme Court said that the Election Commission of India will issue guidelines to ensure that the candidates with criminal records were not given tickets to contest for elections by various parties, and candidates must disclose their criminal records in nomination papers. Alright, in Manoj Narula versus Union of India, the Delhi High Court said that just because a case is pending or a charge has been leveled against a person, they cannot be barred on that basis to not fight elections, not contest elections. But political parties must not field candidates who have a criminal background. This was said by the Delhi High Court. In the state of Uttar Pradesh versus Raj Narayan, it said that citizens have a fundamental right to know the antecedents of the candidates who are contesting elections. Of course, we do. And election affidavit should contain information on the assets of the candidates, liabilities, educational qualification, and criminal records. This is a very important case, so you have to remember it. Then next, with respect to the national e-Vidhan application, choose the statement which is not correct. The Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs is the nodal ministry for its implementation. It is in alignment with the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goal number 15. Now here you have to know what is Sustainable Development Goal number 15, then only you can answer it. So that is how UPSC can interrelate different knowledges, different sets of knowledge. You may think that Sustainable Development Goal has to do with climate change. So that is a part of GS paper 3. But here we are talking about GS mains paper 3 as well as second. So that is why it is important to ensure that everything is interconnected in your brain. That is how you have to prepare. And it is open to use by only the members of the House, such as the Parliament and the state assemblies, and it is a generic digital application based on National Cloud Meghraj. So we have to choose the not correct statement. C. The Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs is the nodal agency. That is definitely correct. It is also a generic digital application which is hosted by National Cloud by the name of Meghraj. It is in alignment with the achievement of Sustainable Development Goal number 15. How? Life on Earth. This particular application wants to ensure that whatever papers we generally use during parliamentary sessions, they are available on this digital application. Every kind of document. So that is why it will save a lot of trees from getting felled for the production of paper. And thereafter, it will also help in reducing carbon footprint, because when there are trees, carbon sequestration will be done. So yes, it is in alignment with that. First is correct, second is correct, third is also correct. And it is not only open to the members of the parliament, but also other stakeholders, media, even the citizens of India, to know about the status. So D is incorrect, all the other ABC are correct. President Draupadi Murmu will inaugurate the National e-Vidhan application project of this Gujarat state in the Gujarat State Assembly today. It's a mission mode project. Nodal ministry is the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs, and it wants to ensure that the e-Vidhan e-Sansad, it has been redesignated as the National e-Vidhan application, so that in all the 37 states and union territory legislatures and the two houses of the parliament, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, every status is interconnected. Also, it is supported by the National Informatics Center. An outlay of rupees 673.93 crore was given for it, and all the legislature of the country together will be brought on one platform, which will create a massive data repository, hence reducing our dependence on paper. So there will be huge savings of paper. It is approximately 340 crore annually, and it is in alignment with the Sustainable Development Goal number 15, Life on Earth. Himachal Pradesh Assembly was the first one to go paperless under this exercise. NeVA is a generic digital application which is hosted by the National Cloud Meghraj for maintenance, security and disaster recovery for all legislature. Also, NeVA mobile app will facilitate ministers, members to get entire house business for replies of question. Also, it is there for papers to be laid in the house. Also, it will be used. Uses of NeVA can be done from the members of the members of the house, members of the concerned government ministries and departments, assembly house secretariat staff, government department staff, reporters, media, citizens and public at large for accessing information. Moving on. With respect to the Partnership for Global Infrastructure Investment, consider the following. It is an initiative of the Group of Seven. It is a revamped version of the Build Back Better World. The India Middle East Europe Corridor, Transport Corridor, is a part of this project. So how many given above is or are not correct? See, I have already discussed this in depth in one of my classes. So I hope if you have watched that, you can answer this question. The Partnership for Global Infrastructure Investment was launched in 2022 at the G7 summit in Germany. And before that, in order to check the Belt and Road Initiative, the Build Back Better World was launched in 2021. But that did not garner a lot of support. So this is a rechrysing, we can call it a revamped version of the Build Back Better World. Second is correct. And yes, it is an initiative of the Group of Seven. It is very clear that the India Middle East Europe Transport Corridor is serving as a part under this only. So all three are actually correct. So not, and how many are not correct? None are not correct. Okay, so this is a Partnership for Global Infrastructure Investment, which is a West-led initiative to fund infrastructure projects in those countries which are developing or less developed, so that they do not depend on any one country for unsustainable loans such as China. It was first announced as Build Back Better World in 2021, and that was at the UK summit of G7. But later on, it was renamed as or revamped, we can call it, the Partnership Group for Infrastructure Investment. Okay, and G7 countries include Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, United Kingdom, and United States of America. It's a global grouping that was initiated as a concept in 1973 with Russia in mind, but later on in 1975 when it started, also there was Russia, but later on after the annexation of Crimea, it was out of the grouping. So earlier it was G8 like that. Okay, in 2022 during the G7 summit in Germany, it was launched. It was officially launched as a joint initiative to help developing countries. Both private and public investment will be done here, and under this there is an aim to mobilize nearly $600 billion by the year 2027, and this is the initiative, or this is the responsibility of the G7. So this is the India Middle East Europe corridor, which will connect the ports of different countries, and the West Asian region or Middle East region will be connected with the help of rail links, and thereafter to Europe like that, from different ports like Haifa port in Israel, we have Jebel Ali port in UAE, Mumbai port in India, like this. Next, consider the following statements. The term first statement is saying the stitched ship method of shipbuilding fell out of favor when European powers began to colonize the Indian Ocean region. They were not suitable for the use of cannons as they could not withstand the recoil from the blast of cannons. Recoil means when we are pushing away something with force, that energy will also be transferred to the base, and recoil means to move back like that. Okay, so choose the correct answer using the following code. Stitched ship is one of the many historical innovations of the world. The history goes back to thousands of years, and the country which is actually known for it was Egypt, the first one ever to use a stitched ship. Later on, many other countries, even India, have registered their significance. Yes, when the European powers started to colonize India, they of course were a naval power, and when they use the concept of stitched ship to drive away the other competitors, they could see that it is not suitable for the use of cannons because of this reason. So both the statements are correct, and because of this, the first statement becomes correct. Okay, both the statements are correct, and statement 2 is the correct explanation of statement 1. Option B is correct. A 21-meter stitched ship is going to start voyage from Odisha to Bali, and this will be done during the Bali Jatra time, and this is expected to be done in November 2025, by November 2025, and it will carry a 13-member Indian Navy crew. Also, it is an ancient technique of constructing a ship. What technique is used? It is a stitching technique which will stitch planks of woods using ropes, cords, coconut fibers and natural raisins and oil in order to give boost to India's maritime heritage. It is an initiative of the Center, the Navy, the Culture Ministry, Goa-based shipbuilding company Hodi Innovations, and it has an outlay of rupees 9 crore, which will take 22 months to complete. Rough idea was taken from a painting in Ajanta, and this is showing us a stitched ship. The earliest known example is from Egypt, 2500 BC. A more than 40 meters long solar bark boat is still on shore on the Giza, near the Giza pyramid. It's like this. Okay, let's move forward. Of course, India's maritime heritage goes back to the times of the Harappan civilization when ports were discovered at Lothal. Here is Lothal. So we could see that we were seafaring nation since the very beginning. Now, the stitched ship method fell out of shipbuilding. Why? Because of course I have already introduced you this. Who among the following heads the National Disaster Management Authority? This is a practice question for you. Home Minister, Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Minister of Earth Sciences and Prime Minister. Due to the paucity of time, I may not be able to pronounce your names today. I will do so in my upcoming class. Do comment the correct answer. Thank you so much.